For a country that feels like it already lives in the future, a place of bullet trains, robot cafes, and toilets that talk to you, Japan is strangely stuck in the past when it comes to electric vehicles. While the world races toward battery-powered cars, Japan remains hesitant, clinging to the hybrid revolution it pioneered decades ago. Toyota, Honda, and Nissan, giants that once defined innovation, are still betting on gasoline-electric hybrids even as Tesla and BYD reshape the automotive landscape. It's a paradox. Japan, home to the Walkman, the PlayStation, and the Shinkansen, brought the world some of the most well-known and long-lasting technology of the 20th century, but now it's falling behind in the technology that the 21st century will be remembered for. The EV in 2023, electric cars made up merely 3.5% of new auto sales in Japan. Compare that with the world average of 18%. Even more shocking, Toyota, in Japan, the automotive king, sold fewer than around 2,000 EVs in the whole country last year. Meanwhile, around the world, Tesla lost its title as the world's largest EV maker after Chinese giant BYD sold more than 4.3 million EVs in 2024. Tesla itself remains very much in the news thanks to cars that drive themselves and come with insane mode and over-the-air software updates, not unlike smartphones. In Europe, luxury brands such as Mercedes and BMW are unveiling electric SUVs with sticker prices that top the price of a house in rural Japan. But in Japan, adoption has been far too slow. The charging infrastructure is minimal, the buyers are cautious, and cultural preferences favor reliability and what we already know. Hybrids have been accepted as the safe bet, and Toyota's strong, multi-pathway support has convinced the public that electric cars are still a ways off. But what if the EV that changed Japan wasn't a Tesla, or a BYD, or even a Nissan, but instead a tiny, very practical $7,000 car that looked less like an automobile and more like a personal pod? This is Mibot, an ultra-tiny electric car that's rewriting the rules of getting around in one of the world's most unlikely markets. And the best part, this disruptor isn't coming from Toyota, Honda, or any of these other big companies. It's coming from a tiny Japanese startup, KG Motors, and it isn't being promoted by an automotive executive, but by a former YouTuber. Yes, you heard that right. As old car companies invest billions to develop electric cars they believe will stay popular for decades to come, Kazunari Kusunoki, a 43-year-old who grew up in a quiet valley surrounded by mountains in Hiroshima Prefecture, imagined a very different future. He saw that the greatest automotive challenge in Japan was not worry about how far a car could go or the lack of charging stations, but practicality. Japan has long been a world leader in automobiles. Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Lexus. As Tesla transformed the industry with its stylish EVs and over-the-air software updates, and Chinese companies like BYD flooded the world with cheap electric autos, Japanese automakers continued to play it safe. Toyota's multi-pathway plan favored hybrids over full EVs. The result? In 2023, electric cars accounted for just 3.5% of Japan's new car sales, well below the world average of 18%. But infrastructure for electric vehicles remains poor in Japan. Charging stations are few and far between, and consumers trust hybrids more for reliability, and families stick with vehicles like the Toyota Prius or Honda Fit Hybrid because they are sensible and affordable. This hesitation has created a gap, one that a tiny disruptor is now filling: the rise of KG Motors and the $7,000 Mibot. Kazunari Kusunoki, a 43-year-old from Hiroshima Prefecture. He wasn't a company executive, but a former YouTube content creator who made great videos about cars and technology. Kusunoki had seen through his channel what average people really wanted: affordable, basic transportation. An aging population in Japan faces decreasing public transport, narrow streets, and expensive taxis. Elderly people in small towns may not be able to get to the grocery store. Big automakers failed to notice this, focusing instead on big high-tech cars. Kusunoki asked a bold question: why don't we build a car that's just enough? In June of 2022, he launched KG Motors. The idea seemed surprisingly simple: an ultra-small electric car with one seat, costing less than even Japan's well-known K cars, which are already small. The result was the Mibot. It's not fancy, no big touchscreen, no insane mode, but that's the point. It's designed for real life. The response has been surprising. A few months after reservations opened, KG Motors had received more than 200 pre-orders, more than Toyota's total sales of electric vehicles vehicles in Japan last year. Rental companies, delivery services, and tour operators are already interested. Kusunoki's company, a startup that recently revealed a difficult truth. Japan's auto giants were so busy chasing Tesla that they forgot about regular people, and the Mibot is showing that sometimes it's the simpler options that work out best, and it might just be this $7,000 car that starts the change Japan's electric vehicle market has been waiting for. Inside the Mibot, tiny, basic, revolutionary. The Mibot is not just another small car, it is designed for a purpose. At 2,490 millimeters long, it's shorter than even Japan's K cars, which are themselves known for being tiny. It stands at less than 1.5 meters, making it suitable for Japan's crowded streets and its tight parking spaces. Under the hood, it's simple. A lithium-ion battery powers a small electric motor, which produces a range of around 100 kilometers. 60 km/h top speed, perfect for local streets, but not for highways. Recharge time, only 5 hours using a standard home outlet. There are no touchscreens, no complicated software, no over-the-air updates. It is a tool, not a fancy toy. The single-seat design is on purpose. Kusunoki imagined the car as a personal pod for quickly getting around town. Just right for elderly people, delivery workers, or residents of small country towns. To keep costs down, KG Motors uses a monocoque chassis, a one-piece shell frame that reduces material and assembly costs while remaining strong. The car is kept as simple as possible, with just a few essential parts: battery and motor for movement, steering, brakes, and the most basic electronics. The result? A car that weighs less than 400 kilograms and costs just $7,000, making car ownership possible for people who will never consider spending money on a Tesla, Nissan Ariya, or Toyota BZ4UX. The Mibot is not competing in the market for luxury EVs. It's addressing real problems, getting around for those who need it most. Early success and market impact. KG Motors opened up reservations for pre-orders in late 2024, and they weren't ready for what happened next. More than 1,000 pre-orders came in the first month. By mid-2025, it had reached 2,250 units. These numbers are huge for a tiny startup. KG Motors plans to deliver 3,300 by March 2027. And already more than 2/3 are sold. A big surprise, many pre-orders aren't from individuals, they're from rental companies, tour companies, or delivery services. Regions like the Fuji 5 Lakes area hope to use Mibots for low-impact tourism. 7-Eleven Japan already uses small EVs for deliveries and is the perfect customer for the Mibot. Mibots has quietly met that number, and without the burden of billions in research and development from a Toyota behind them, these little cars have a long way to go. Kusunoki has also used his YouTube experience to sell the Mibot online. KG Motors doesn't rely on expensive dealerships, but on social media and local marketing, and connects with the people who need it the most. It is already the main topic of conversation, and the early excitement is forcing Japan to ask a difficult question. Has the country been slow to adopt the EV that people actually want? The future. Can the Mibot save the world? KG Motors is not stopping at Japan. After delivering the first 300 in the country in 2026, the company aims to export 3,000 Mibots to foreign markets. The timing is perfect. Cities around the world, Paris, Berlin, Shanghai, all face similar challenges: crowded streets, rising costs, and aging populations. There is a huge demand for micro EVs worldwide. The market is already an $8.9 billion business and is expected to triple by 2031. There's the Microlino, the Citroën Ami, and the Renault Twizy, but none with a starting price as low as $7,000. And if KG Motors can increase production to 10,000 units annually, it could become the leader in this niche globally. But challenges remain. The Mibot has room for only one passenger, cannot travel on highways, and requires a standard driver's license. These rules could limit private ownership and mostly reserve it for company fleets. BYD and Hyundai, meanwhile, are preparing inexpensive K-Class EVs for Japan, and Toyota could easily fight back with its own budget EVs. Yet the Mibot is about more than just a vehicle. It's making a statement. It tells us that getting around doesn't have to be expensive or complicated or overly engineered. For people in the countryside and the elderly, and for some small businesses, it's not about owning a Tesla. It's about transportation that's affordable, safe, and, why not, dignified. The challenge is ahead. The Mibot's journey is a nice story, but the path ahead will be difficult. As a small moped-like car, there are several legal limits in Japan. The Mibot can only carry one passenger, is limited to 60 km/h, and is not allowed on some roads that restrict other vehicles by engine size. Drivers must have a full Japanese license, so it's less useful for younger people or tourists. In Japan, hybrids have been accepted by the culture for a long time. Vehicles like the Toyota Prius have become symbols of reliability, so it's hard to expect anything different from the next big thing in cars, right? And the reality is that many American consumers still see EVs as risky, too new, too dependent on charging infrastructure that barely exists outside the country's big cities.